Hey everybody, welcome to Between Whiskey and Pneumonia. Drew Shapiro here with my co-host Nick Hatt. Joined today by Kurt Chapelle and Alikhan Amlani. Thank you guys for coming on the show. Super excited to have you be here and hear about the best day ever mindset, that energy you bring to pretty much every interaction I've ever seen you have. And we love it. We want to hear all about it. And again, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having us. And looking forward to it. This is super exciting, and it's a wonderful thing you guys are doing. So I'm happy to be a part of it.
Amen. Amen. So a lot of our show focuses on, overcoming adversity, helping people who might be in a slump, maybe not having the best day ever, and reliving that and just stuck in that rut, unable to get out of it. And we'd love to hear, how you've overcome some adversity in your life to get to where you are at this point, and what best day ever means to you.
Great question. So I think to me is I've gone through some trials and tribulations, and part of getting back up on your 2 feet and moving forward is your mindset, right? And if you look at the glass half full, it's just nothing consistent or nothing good, or just always looking at the negative impact, and negative breeds negative energy breeds negative energy, right? And so I think over time, I came across the slogan "Best Day Ever" from my buddy, and he said it all the time, and I'm like, God, this is great. And it just kind of morphed into my lifestyle. It's having the glass half full and being positive. The ball, when you're looking at it in a positive outlook and you're having fun with everything you do, the ball tends to bounce your way a little bit more than if you're negative. So, and it helps you get through. Bitching and complaining about it doesn't get you anywhere. So you can't help anybody else or yourself by doing that. So it's just about stepping up and kind of pulling up your bootstraps and keep moving forward, I guess,
Absolutely. So I love that. Whenever I'm at the gas station or out and about town, and I see the sticker on the back, I'm like, all right, okay, they definitely had the best day ever.
That's it.
They're experiencing that positive energy you bring. And I mean, how do you stay on that level besides, caffeine, Monster Energy, whatever it might be?
Luckily, I'm pretty high strung. So I'm always ADD and always going a million miles a minute. And when I was younger, my parents tried to get me on Ritalin, and it took me out of my element. And as I got older, I realized that my energy, and that's a part of who I was, and that's God made me to be this way. And I didn't want to take anything to take away from that, because I was always the life of the party with it, right? I was always the center of attention, and I always made sure I was, I guess, in the certain aspects. But over time, it's just kind of the way I do it. I don't know. It's just part of me, I guess. Every day is just, there's times I have a 16-month-old daughter, and I'm exhausted, and I work a ton. And so you have a 9 o'clock meeting, and they expect you to be on and bring in the heat. And it's almost like an actor in a sense, where you have to talk yourself up before you do it, just get fired up mentally. And not only that, but I think a lot of people get a lot from it. It changes their energy around. They might be going through a bad day, and just trying to get them motivated and fired up,
Right.
So yeah, it's cool.
Absolutely. No, we love it. So you've overcome some obstacles in your life to get to where you are. And Nick and I talk on the show about, so many people just focus on the end result and say things like, oh, it must be nice to live where you live, or it must be nice to drive what you drive, or it must be nice to, have this. And again, what we talk about people neglecting is what it took to get there, the sacrifices, the things you've been through that make you who you are. And, what do you think of when you hear that must be nice comment?
It's funny you say that. I had somebody say this to me at the doctor's office a few weeks ago, a foot doctor, I was getting phone calls, and it was my team. I have a couple of team members that work with me, assistants, and one of them called, and I said, I'm sorry, my assistant. She's like, oh, that's cool. And I said, yeah, we have a team, and there's a couple of us. And then she gave me the line, oh, it must be nice. And I said to her, I stopped dead in my tracks, and I said, I put in 80 hours a week for 5 years nonstop, and it's not just inside the dealership world. It's every gas station you go to, every grocery store. It just, you live it. And I said, I've worked very hard to get where I'm at. And over time, I've been very fortunate to be able to have team members to come on board. But yeah, it wasn't given to me. My last name's not on the side of anything. I had to go out and earn all of it. And still feel like I slack at times, to be honest with you. I don't. But it's one of those things where it is very motivating to keep you. When somebody gives me that, I'm like, I want to do more. You know?
Right. Yeah. I'll show you how nice it can be.
Exactly.
Right.
I'm still not where I want to be, and I never will be. The mountain will never be climbable. I still always want to keep climbing and never stop, I guess. But that's a part of it. But yeah, the must be nice bit is a lot of the trials and tribulations and the falling down and getting back up. And it's moving forward, but yeah, they're not around for that. They just see the car and they, like you said, they assume that everything was handed, and it wasn't by any means. My parents worked the school system, and which is cool.
Right.
So yeah, nothing was given to me. I just had to go out and work for it. Make a lot of phone calls.
Right. A lot of people scared to pick up the phone.
Yeah,
I hear you.
That's where I make money. It's just phone. But yeah, I enjoy it.
Absolutely. So, yeah, when it rings, it's like the cash register ringing, right?
And you got to look at it like that, really. And it's cultivating relationships. So I've become friends with 90% of the people I sell cars to. And it's people lean on me for a lot of different reasons. So it's really cool to be able to grow and build not just sell. I'm not here to sell you one car or whatever the case may be, but to build a relationship so that when you need something more than just a car, life,
right,
advice, help, that type of stuff, you feel comfortable enough to come back and give me a call. And that's what I want.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we live in an increasingly transactional world where people want to, or at least think they might want to do stuff online or makes the process easier. But what are you missing out on with that? That relationship aspect, having someone that understands you, that you can come to, that you can actually call and interact with. And that's a frustration in my industry for sure. It's like, hey, I'm not just a quote machine, right? I've got some expertise. I want to give you my advice. I want to understand your situation and help you out as best I can. And, it's interesting, when that phone rings, it can be burdensome at times, depending on what time of day or night it might be. But, definitely blessed to have those problems. And I think that was a little bit of that perspective that helped us, start the show and the concept for the show, which is that whole aspect of, the clock never stops ticking, right? Every day really is a blessing. And, you can be sitting in the hospital bed, getting mad at the King on Burger King commercials. I know when I was in the hospital in October, I wanted to fight the King. There was a commercial that kept coming on, and I'm like, oh man, I can't wait to get out of here. Yeah. But as soon as I did, I'm thankful to be, getting the mail, scrubbing toilets, unloading the dishwasher. Right. So much of life is about perspective. We think you've got a ton of that. So
I think it's great how you're like, oh, we're in America. This isn't a monarchy. And you're like, King BS. What is this about? No, right. That Whopper was horrible. No, I'm kidding. It's the positive outlook and every day, like you said. And then it just becomes a part of everyday life, right? So then when a customer or somebody does reach out and talk, and it's guiding. I'm here to guide and help, not just, okay, it's $3.99 a month and let me know your thoughts. That's not the way I sell. So it's really guiding people to what's in their best interest and making sure that their needs are met. It's listening, which nobody listens anymore, it seems like. But,
right.
And I have a hard time with it. Went on a retreat a couple weeks ago, and a men's retreat. My brother came into town for it, and it was really a good learning experience. I definitely learned the difference between hearing someone and listening are apples and oranges. And I, being high strung and I like talking and always energetic, I have a really hard time of listening because I've been always my whole life thinking about what I'm going to say when somebody else is talking. So and right now I've been I'm looking away down at the table because I'm trying to listen to everything you say, so I'm not focused on what I'm going to say next. But yeah, it's a learning curve, that's for sure.
Right. Well, I love your energy, but how do you get to the point to where it's very hard to be positive every single day?
It is.
Even for me, there's some mornings I wake up and it's like, fuck. So how do you get to the point to where you are, to where you're just high energy, happy all the time? What does it take to get there?
So my wife would beg to differ with that. She's like, yeah, I wish he was.
Right.
No, to be honest with you, the energy level is, like I said, I've always been there. So the energy's always been there, but the positive spin, I was in a car accident years ago, and a friend of mine was driving, and he ended up passing away. And I didn't walk for a year. I've had 32 procedures. It's been, that's why I was at the doctor's a few weeks ago for that. And so that helps put things in perspective. Losing my dad to cancer, this isn't the end all be all,
Right.
How many cars I sell is not going to be how I'm remembered, I hope, helping people is. And I take pride in that. So I think that helps. Hanging out with Alikhan is another huge blessing for that. I'll be frustrated, running late or something, and he will bring me out of that pretty quick. It's just his positive outlook on life, and it trickles down. I try and stay around positive people and move forward. I don't have time for negativity, and I find my way to getting self-negative at times. Don't get me wrong, But then I'm surrounded myself by my team. My wife, right. And I love my teammates to death, and Kurt, all right, what's going on, and so people hold me accountable, which is great, and I need it.
Right, I think we all do, especially me. It's hard to, you own the company. There's not, for some reason, people don't want to check you,
right?
And there's a couple guys out there that have checked me every single day, and I thank God for it. Just because, you need that smack in the lips every once in a while.
Not only does it make you a better employer in your case, but you get you're happier, you get more, you get more from your employees, you're on the page, and then you build those relationships where you're trusting guys. If you're that close with them, when they can call you out and vice versa, then you guys get through anything.
I wish they would more, honestly. Well, maybe not a whole lot more, but
right. Hopefully, none of them are listening too much. Right?
No, I hope they are. I hope they are listening. I hope they are listening.
I'm kidding.
They're the reason that I'm able to sit here and do this.
Absolutely.
So,
and because you 1,000%, you put yourself around people that you admire and trust and respect, and so then you can let off the gas a little bit, and they take over. And I think it's by me doing that, and where I'm at in my work environment, it's the same. I get held. Hey, Kurt, what's going on? Let's go. You okay?
Right.
You're quiet today. What's going on? Well, I got this, and this. Okay, well, let's go. And then it seems like when an appointment comes in or something like that, then it kind of changes it all because they expect the Kurt that they, so you got to step through and give them the fun experience, which it's what I need to be. I need to be mentally there anyways. So it pulls you out of it and it keeps everything moving forward.
Right. Especially when people walk into your dealership to buy a car. That's a fun, exciting time. Sometimes a little nervous,
Yeah. Well, it used to be a lot more fun when there was a lot more vehicles to sell, but
right.
no, it is. It's a good experience for the most part. And if they're ordered a new vehicle now and it's waited to come in to get their new Denali or something, and even if it's a Equinox, and they're excited about that, and you can't take away from that just because you stubbed your toe on the way to work in the morning, or you woke up on the wrong side of the bed. That's not fair to them and their experience. So you got to check yourself at the door when you walk into the store. And I think the company I work for, do an amazing job. I don't know if you guys ever met Ryan, but he's the most motivational, exceptional, talented. I told him the other day, he reminds me of Tom Brady. He's always on, bringing the heat, makes you want to do better and be a better person. Right. And it's the truth. So that comes down from above, it only makes it blossom even more.
Right.
But yeah.
I think we're all blessed to have certain people like that in our lives that challenge us to do better and be the best versions of ourselves. And yeah, I certainly do. You know, when I'm having one of those days where I'm starting to feel sorry for myself, or it's like, what for? Right. And
your fiance will pull you out of it.
She'll
say, come on, let's go.
She'll pull me out of it.
That's it. I get it. And you need it. We all need it.
I use Viktor Frankl a lot, right? Being a Jewish guy.
Okay.
So I'll go back and read some Viktor Frankl. And I mean, if he can choose happiness from a concentration camp, I'm thinking to myself, like, Drew, what do you have to bitch about this morning? You ate some leftover salmon. You made some fresh coffee. Like, are you kidding me, man? Like, let's go.
Goes back to putting stuff in perspective. And that's a great way to remind yourself of that. Like, this isn't the end all be. Like, it could be a lot worse, you know? Like, you could be in, heaven forbid, Ukraine right now. Look what's going on. You know what I mean?
Right.
We're very blessed. And you do have to, it's hard, but you got to remind yourself of that every once in a while.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's like in those moments of near tragedy or true tragedy that you really gain that perspective. And I think, fortunately or unfortunately, that's what it takes sometimes. I know for me, those situations tend to bring about some extreme clarity and make me thankful for the little things. And, you know, I forget the quote exactly, but it's like, for the man who... enough will never be enough. Enough won't be enough, basically, right? So, you know, when is enough, right? And being happy with what you have. I mean, I butchered the shit out of that. But.
No, I got your point, though. I was just listening to some motivational speaker on Facebook, I don't know, somewhere. Yeah. And he said that you'd be shocked on how many people that get a new job and they get a pay increase by 50 grand. So let's say they're making 200 grand, and they're a lot more miserable now because of what they signed up for and their headspace and what they have to accomplish and every day, compared to when they were making 150 grand and they were just different. And it's the mindset. And so, yeah, it's just crazy on how it all comes together, I guess. And it all comes back to being positive, and I think it does myself, but yeah.
So back to that and checking yourself at the door and holding yourself accountable and, you know, being present when you're dealing with a client, customer who walks in, you know, what are some tools you use to deal with that?
Good question. Some tools I use to be present. To be honest with you, I really don't. There's not like a playbook I have. It's just me, and I just am myself, and I talk I talk a lot to customers, not about the car deal, about themselves and about myself, and it's a big approach to it. But I don't know. It's just I don't have like a set thing that I try to, I guess, but I just am very blessed to. Once I sit down with somebody to where it's like, it doesn't matter what happened that morning, doesn't matter what happened yesterday in their life or in mine, we're starting fresh right now, and let's make it a fun experience for both. Because times, we're only here for a short amount of time, not here for a long time, but damn sure a good time, right?
Right.
So my time is just as valuable as theirs. They're trying to buy a car, but I want to make sure that I am enjoying what I do. Right? Do I want to sell you a car? Absolutely. But I want to enjoy, if I'm going to be locked up for 4 hours, let's make this enjoyable. And how do I do that? By getting to know people more. And because I genuinely care, like I care about people. So that's a big part of it, I think, too.
That's phenomenal. There's a quote from Ryan Holiday, one of my favorite authors. And he says, this moment we are experiencing right now is a gift. That's why we call it the present. And that's something I try to remind myself of, because that's really all we have. You know, worrying about things we did in the past or anxiety about the future, we can't control that. And it's just remembering to focus on what you can control. And that's something I struggle with every day. I think most of us do.
Right.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
one of the things that's helped me is journaling. You know, it's a time-tested method where, you know, it's really for the writer, not for the reader.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm always carrying around a notebook, and, you know, half the stuff in here, you know, it might be drivel, but at least it gets it out of my head. Right.
It's
And
great. It's awesome that you do it.
yeah, that's something that helps me focus on the moment and be there and present for people. So
Just think one day you'll have all these journals, right? And you'll be a grandfather, hopefully, right?
Yeah.
And those journals, they'll be able to go through them and say, yeah, they'll get to know the tough times you had and that you got through it, but they'll get to know the highs that you had as well. And I wish I was a more talented writer, because I would be doing it a lot more. It's a struggle for me. But yeah, I admire that.
I don't worry about the spelling.
Yeah.
It's just to get it out of my head.
It's great.
You know, and I think Marcus Aurelius, Meditations, that famous now book was really just a compilation of his journals, and there's some wisdom in that.
Oh, God.
This stuff was never intended to be read, and I go back through that, and I have it next to the Torah and the Bible and whatever, and Marcus Aurelius somewhere in there. Just in things to reference when I'm dealing with something tough. And,
that alone puts it in perspective. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like how important that is to you.
Yeah.
It's next to your Torah, next to your Bible.
Yeah.
And that's where it's at when you need it. You know exactly where it's at, And that's what I think, that's just knowing. A big part of it, I think, is knowing your strengths and your weaknesses, and is working on them, and that type of stuff. I need to do a better job of it. Like I do. I admire that you jot down a bunch of notes and keep a daily log of your life. I think it's awesome. And then you know what to go to for to pull you out of a bad funk,
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't. That's the sad part. Or they don't have anybody there to help pull them out,
Absolutely. It's funny, on certain days I'll fall off the journaling wagon, maybe for a week, maybe for a couple weeks. But I can go back and reference it and look at when I was having a really good day, some thoughts that or ideas that weren't so great, some that were, and it helps you gain a little perspective in your own life. And I mean, if Marcus Aurelius, Roman emperor, can go do the same thing and then have it never intended to be read, right? And then thousands of years later, have it be such a profound document. It's like, okay, I certainly don't expect my journals to be that way, but if that guy,
right.
if that guy could use this as a tool, Drew Shapiro can definitely use this as a tool. So I'm always curious, basically, to hear what other people are doing that helps them overcome whatever it is they might be dealing with, or tools they use or implement in their life, whether it's meditation or prayer or working out or whatever it might be to block out the noise.
Lately, it's been prayer. I got away from my faith for a while, and when I did, I noticed that life was stagnant. I was just not as happy, and I'm actually still bouncing back from it. But like I said, the ball wouldn't bounce your way as if it would have a year ago when you're into your faith. And not only that, but when you are going through a difficult time, then it's just a great escape for me. So prayer's big. I don't do it enough. I do it when I drive, and I do it at night. I need to do it in the morning. I started reading some daily devotion books in the morning, and to try and jump your day off, I listen to obviously motivating music. I listen to some prayer on books on tape. I'm learning Spanish now. Just started that.
Nice.
So just trying to step out, keep adding tools to the toolbox, and still growing. I tell my team all the time, and in rookie sales reps, I guess, that when you step outside your comfort zone and you feel really uncomfortable, that's how you're growing. And that's a good thing. You got to do that, And so it's that goes back to anything. Like, say, me journaling. Yeah, I'm not comfortable with it, but it would help me grow as a person, I'm sure, you know?
Right.
It's only going to add more tools to the toolbox and then become a better husband and father and whatnot.
Right. Yeah. I think I like how you say the ball bounces your direction. Just like, I can't remember where I read it or where I heard it, but this guy said there's no such thing as luck. The luck that you have is the luck that you make for yourself. And I've certainly experienced that, when you're working hard and staying focused, and it's like shit just becomes easy.
Yeah.
It doesn't come easy.
No,
but
it fell into place.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It becomes more easy as you go.
No, I 1,000% I get it.
Like if you wake up and you're happy and good things happen and better and better and better. Whereas if you wake up and you're negative, it's going to be worse and worse and worse, and everything's going to piss you off. And, then you end up screaming at some lady driving down I-75 over nothing.
Yeah, the finger.
Right. Yeah, send her hand signals.
I tend to do that too much. But yeah, no, I'm kidding. But yeah, they, I agree with that 1,000%. I think it is, and it's the way, and it rubs off on other people. Like it's your positivity and your glass half full trickles down to the person that's next to you and on both sides, and hopefully that they can. I don't want to ruin somebody's day ever. What? Because exactly. I woke up on the bad side, so I just said something and didn't think before I spoke and pissed my assistant off, and next she's shut down for 5. Like, it just doesn't get us anywhere.
Right.
And it's not healthy. So I need to learn how to think before I speak better, but saying that positive.
Yeah, I've got that problem. But sometimes it's good to have an argument.
Yeah.
But the best time is when you're going to have an argument and then go back immediately after that and smooth it all out again.
Exactly. That's once again surrounding yourself by good people,
right?
Right. Because if it wasn't, then you'd get into it and they'd be like, "Screw him,"
right?
And you're like, "Well, you don't understand me at all."
All right. We'll butt heads, but at the end of the day, it is what it is.
Exactly. Let's move forward.
Right. Exactly.
Well, I think one of the struggles is as a society, we've lost the concept of conflict having the possibility of being a good thing. There's good conflict and bad conflict. There is such a thing as constructive criticism. And when people hear the word criticism, they forget that you said constructive before it. And it makes it really hard to have tough conversations, and then things fester. And it's best to just get it on the table and, have a little skirmish or a conflict before it turns into a full-fledged, battle or a war. And,
right. Well, that, and, people need to quit being so soft all the time.
That was well restrained.
Yeah, that, and I think that
right. I mean, take some criticism.
Exactly.
Take some criticism. Whether you agree with it or not, you might get something out of it.
And it's where you do try and criticize somebody or give them constructive criticism. Nowadays, it seems like everybody, with social media and the world the way it is, you got to tippy toe around,
constant,
and you're offending somebody.
Yeah,
and it makes you feel like you can't. I want to help another sales rep, and if I see if they're doing something that I can help them get better at their craft, and I feel like I can't say something to them because they're not going to take it the right way, then that's not good for anybody. Like none of us. I want somebody. I can always get better, no matter.
Right.
And I want people to always say, "Hey, why don't you try this?" Or have you thought about that? And it's just, if you feel like you got to dance around it, then it's not even worth the time, I guess.
Right. Yeah. I try not to do too much dancing, but I've figured out that a lot of times it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
I have a problem with that.
Me too, because I'm usually a little less than refined, a little coarse.
Yeah, I get it. We all are human, and it's tough to break it is. I get it completely. I had the conversation this morning. My assistant and I got into it this morning about it. I didn't slow down and think before I spoke, and I offended, and I assumed, and that's what offended. And next thing you know, it got us, and it just, for what?
Right.
What did it get us? Nowhere. It's just a waste of time. and energy. And when you can be taking that energy and putting it in good, positive places, that's what bums me out on both sides, you know? But yeah, I always wondered, like, Drew, it always impressed me, and I thought it was great. And one of anytime anybody serves their country, I have the utmost respect for, and I think it's great. And you've done it, and I admire that. I think that when you're in positions, it's the criticism and all the naysayers come out of the woodwork. My question is, how did you stay positive during all that? You know, when you were there and that type of stuff. That's more like I find that every day to keep going through and just keep moving forward is remarkable.
I appreciate that. And as much as I think the Genesee County Board in Flint, Michigan can feel like the front lines, I had to remind myself, hey, you know, there actually are guys out on the front lines. So, you know, there are people who've definitely served in greater capacities and made greater sacrifices, far greater than mine was. But trying to show up every day in elected office where you're in an environment that just seems to continue as is, regardless of how hard you try to make a difference, can be very frustrating. And especially, you know, dealing with personal challenges you might be having at home. All of us have our own baggage, and then showing up and dealing with people who you might have good closed-door conversations with, who will get in a boardroom and turn around and do the exact opposite, and stab you in the back. It was challenging. I mean, I kept a stress ball in my boardroom drawer. I think I've told this before. And I mean, I worked that thing out.
Yeah.
Like I definitely did. Yeah. And it was tough. And controlling, not the lack of emotion, but controlling your emotions and being turned on to the philosophy of stoicism, actually by my friend Nick here, is something that's really helped me grow as a person over time. And a lot of people, you know, screw that up. It's not... being stoic isn't lacking emotion. It's just being in control of them and understanding.
Sometimes
we can, yeah. Well, none of us are perfect, right?
Sometimes,
but you know, being able to just focus on the controllables and control what you can control, and you know everything else, you really just can't. So, yeah, it was interesting. It was stressful at times. I think since then, you know, I've been able to get off some blood pressure medication. I think my hair stopped falling out, you know, at least quite as fast. But
how important was it? Sorry to interrupt. How important was it the people that you surrounded yourself with during any of that? Like that's always so. Like we were just talking about surrounding and staying positive, but when you seem to be, like you said, doing everything you can, and nothing's happening. You're running on ice, essentially, or a dog chasing your own tail. To come home and say, okay, and then to have that support system so you'd stay positive and keep moving forward, to still go back at it the next day.
Yeah, I've had it both ways. I've had it with not a great support system, and I've had it with a great support system with Amanda, you know, more so when I was running for State House. You know, when I was in that county commissioner role, I mean, I'm blessed to have my parents who've always been in my corner and had my back, but you know how it is. You don't want to put your stuff on, you know, somebody else all the time at the end of the day. Right. And, you know, a lot of it gets bottled up, and there are constructive and destructive ways of dealing with stress. And I've been on both sides of that, and I'll be super transparent and honest about it. You know, there's days where I went home, I drank too much, you know, stayed up too late, whatever. And, you know, those things are rarely the answer because it just exacerbates the issue.
So I've done those things because a car deal went bad. When you're actually running the government for the local community, I could imagine it intensifies, you know, and the stress that brings in itself. So I just think that I just respect it. I respect it a ton, and I admire it. And I think that, you know, it doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter what party you are. It doesn't matter any of that you served and you did it diligently. And you kept moving forward and you tried to make a difference. That's huge. You know, how many people are scared to make that chance, you know?
Absolutely.
So it's just, you had the cojones when a lot of people didn't, you know?
Yeah, no.
Let's go. I love it.
I wish more people would, because, man, you get in there and you're like, wow, I think we did this on a previous episode. Like, you'd almost be better in some instances just doing a random lottery, drawing for some of these positions. You know, coupled with
Chuck Melky,
Chuck Melky, yes,
you're up.
Yes, bring Chuck in for that, for sure.
Yep.
A general aptitude test, and then paired with a lottery system. I think you'd be better off for a lot of these positions.
The draft for office,
right. Seriously, no, but I appreciate you saying that. You know, people ask me if I'm ever going to do it again, and I say, hey, you know, maybe someday with a larger checkbook, and you know, I hope I'm blessed to have kids, and I couldn't imagine running for office with kids.
Yeah.
You know, right now with the way the world is, you know, or being bullied, you know, at school, and I know I've said this before about something their dad said or didn't say or did or didn't do, and you know, so maybe someday down the road.
Yeah.
But I'd encourage other people to step up. Ironically, the most rewarding position I had was, you know, the $1 a year job on the school board.
Really?
Because there was no partisan, you know, we might have had our own leanings, right? Of course, everyone does. But, you know, we might have had those, but it didn't interfere with what the goal was, which was just, hey, how do we educate these kids as best as possible in a safe environment? And it was a more singular focus. And because of that, you know, I felt like we were able to actually get a lot done and affect the most change. Where at the county, you know, you're overseeing in Genesee County 27 different departments. You've got 9 commissioners, so there's nobody really in charge. There's 9 bosses. It makes it's probably the most inefficient, ineffective form of government that we have is at the county level, because there is no one person where the buck stops.
Right.
And it makes it hard, especially if you're trying to find a consensus to get anything done.
Right.
And then just take that and extrapolate it out to the state or the national level, and I mean, you have what we're dealing with. You know,
there's, you know, no compromise. Just you know, things come to go home. But yeah, no, I think it's when you're on the school board, how talk to me about the parents. So I've heard that my uncle's on the school board, and he did it for 2 or 3 years or whatever the term was. I can't remember. And he was out. He said just the constant bitching and complaining by the parents was just over the top. And as society progresses, now it's 2022, it's just gotten worse and worse. But how did you get through that to stay positive when you come in to make $1 and to help your community and just get screamed at and there's nothing you do? You're like, okay, you know?
No, great question. I will say this might seem a little counterintuitive, but I think one of my biggest strengths in that role was the fact that I didn't have kids. It allowed me to remain objective when we're dealing with issues, because I didn't have a vested interest at that time. And people would ask me, hey, why are you running for school board? You don't have any kids. And I'm like, well, I think that's exactly why. You know, I'm a student, not far removed from being a student. And, you know, I saw the system somewhat fail my peers. You know, we were always told, hey, go to school, get good grades, go to school, get good grades, and the world's just going to, you know, be your oyster. And that's it. And that's not exactly how it worked out, you know, for a lot of people. And, yeah, I think that is what gave me the perspective to get through, was not having that vested interest. Okay, like, you know, if we have to divert something from an elementary school to the middle school or to the high school, well, you know, I'm not cutting out my kid or, you know, the friend of my kid or whatever it might be. You can approach it from a more, like I said, objective position. So
now you feel like you have skin in the game, but not like all the people that are bitching at you. Essentially, you don't have any kids, so you just want to do your best on what's right and not what's right by because they have a kid that's involved. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, it seems like a really clear conflict of interest to me.
Right.
You know, if you do have kids and then you're voting on things that affect them or their specific school, I think at larger levels of government, you know, that would be more magnified or brought to public attention. People often ignore that at the school board level, but yeah, it was interesting. But happy I did it. It was definitely an education, and maybe we'll go back there again someday. But you know, for the right reasons. It was never for the $1 a year, obviously,
right,
or the county health insurance,
yeah,
or you know, whatever,
exactly.
whatever it was.
Try to do your part, which I think everybody should at one point. You know, I admire it.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Right. Well, you do stuff in the community also. You've got your polar plunge.
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah, I like that.
Few other
Perfect segue. Let's go.
Yeah,
I like
right.
it.
I'm catching on to how this
look
stuff
at
works.
Con
You
just
see
sparked
that?
up. Did you see him? Let's go. He's
Right,
like, did
right.
you see pull
Can I ask you guys a question real quick?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What about the power plunge?
He mentioned the polar plunge. How long we been doing it?
About like 5 years.
6 years. Yeah,
6
pretty
years.
close.
And it's like we did it for the kids. We want to do it because we want to get to the Florida, and we did golf like every year. We do practice every month. Then we got after it. We just won it.
That's right. We did try to raise as much money. So I've known Alikhan since the 6th grade, and he's been participating in the Special Olympics, and I've always been at a distance watching him through that.
Yes.
And then over time, I actually got a dare from a friend, and we got liquored up the first time, and I did the polar plunge, and I had so much fun. Like he'd jump in an ice cold water, but the camaraderie and the
water was freezing cold.
Yes, it was. I like it from him, and he didn't go in. You know,
Right.
yeah. So we, it was a lot of fun, and the camaraderie, and there's athletes there, and so then I wanted to come back the next year, and then Alikhan and I sparked our relationship again.
Yes.
And it's just been bigger and bigger every year. A couple years ago, because of COVID, they shut it down and they canceled it. So I reached out to Ryan LaFontaine and had this idea.
Yes.
And we ended up doing a dunk tank in the wintertime at one of his stores.
Nice.
And we ended up raising $14,000 in 1 week.
$14,000
For the Special Olympics, we just had everybody come. When Ryan LaFontaine's attached himself, it's a pretty big deal because he can get a lot of big names in the community.
Right.
And
we did it, and about somebody like Ryan Fontaine and Sean Fontaine.
yeah, we
we did it for the schools. We did the fire permit.
Yep, we did. Yeah, we did. And
awesome.
I've been doing it for. Next year will be my 7th year, and it's now to jump in ice cold water, and now I'm on the board there. I help out with them setting it up for Area 13. They invited me to be part of that, and to do that, I became friends with the director of Area 13, which is Genesee County. Well, they took it upon themselves to sign Alikhan and I up for unified golf.
Nice.
I big golf and I love it.
And then we won it.
Yeah, we won it. We
Nice.
did. So it's great. So
Alikhan, you got some gold medals out there, don't you?
Yeah, 4.
4 gold medals.
And
in
And
Special
then
Olympics?
we're gonna, if we win this, it's over.
yeah,
It's-
we're going to nationals in
It's-
June in Orlando, Florida for his golf. It's pretty.
That's
But
good.
going to the States and seeing all of the athletes on cloud 9, like it was
Right.
the Super Bowl for each one of them, hugging that they haven't seen. And I haven't done a lot of things right in my life, but jumping in ice cold water to raise money for Special Olympics, I haven't gotten wrong. And I'm
Right.
going to continue to do it because it's remarkable.
It's
Right.
it's fun. We're doing it for the kids, and they'll love it. We're just helping out, and we're doing fundraiser. We do it every year.
That's it. So it's exciting. But yeah, have you guys ever been out to see it or jump in or anything?
I have not.
It's
But I will.
It's a crazy event and it's a lot of fun. But they just Genesee County alone hit over $90,000 last year, which is
Wow,
on
that's
one.
awesome.
Yeah, it's remarkable. So they actually I think the biggest in the area in the state But yeah, they do a great job with it, and
Yes,
we're excited. So I've just been
I'm-
so blessed to be able to meet so many good people.
we're God blessed.
Yes, we are. But yeah, it's been great. So we're excited about it, and I try and do as much as I can there. And it just trickled into Alikhan coming to work with us.
I work one like 1 day a week.
Yeah, he was at 2, and then he went on vacation and came back and wanted to come back at 1. Started out a little slow. He said, I know enough. He said, I'll sell enough cars in 1 day. Then I don't need to come the rest of the week. And I said, done. So it's great. He's literally a morale booster, not just for me, and it's helped set my day. Like when I picked him up this morning, he lives down the road from me, and it just brightens my day up. But when he walks into the dealership, to watch people gravitate towards him, and it changes a lot of people's day. It's just remarkable to watch.
Yeah,
I'm very
that's good.
blessed to be a part of it, to be honest with you. And I tell people about the Special Olympics. Alikhan, he makes me a better person. I do it selfishly at times because he wears off on me instead of the other way around. I'm sure I do a little bit, but I am a much better person because I have this gentleman in my life than I'm sure he is because he has me. But that's the way it works, and we have a lot of fun, don't we?
Yes, we do.
So, yeah.
Like we're kids. We hang out. We do fun stuff. We play golf together and
That's it. How many hole-in-ones have you had?
one.
Fenton Farms.
Nice.
Yeah,
Man.
no joke.
And then
His picture's on the wall. It's great.
then we did the outing for Adam Razar. I got closer to the pin.
Yeah, closest to the pin. Yeah, it's crazy the stuff he remembers, but yeah.
No, we've golfed together a few times, and it doesn't take much, but you definitely kick my ass.
Yeah, it's crazy. Dead straight.
I'm the worst
Off the
golfer
tee.
on the face of the planet.
Well, if you want lessons, Alikhan charges not too much. Well, we can charge it, okay?
All right. Good.
It's great.
Good.
But, yeah, so the Special Olympics has been a big part, and then I help out as much with Ryan's You Can Survive and try and do as much as I can there. His cancer foundation, they do a great job. And then I started having a golf outing. My dad's, actually the year before he passed, we had it, the Walt Henry Fall Classic. And we did that to raise some money for him. And it's to, now we do it for a local family fighting cancer. So I try and do as much as I can. I wish I had more time, and I want to do more. But
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome.
absolutely.
That's phenomenal. I think you just bring it everywhere
Well-
you are. I mean, it's so good to see. We've got to make the most out of what we've got.
Absolutely.
Oh.
And if you could help change somebody else's day, like it's just one day, and that's
Yeah.
like it's everyday mindset. But I think not drinking and going back to the, and when I was in rehab and come out of that and started out in AA and stuff, and they one day at a time,
Right.
and that mindset carries over to where it's literally let's just worry about today, because I don't know if I'm going to be here tomorrow.
Right.
We don't know when our ticket's going to be punched. And so if you just worry about today and try and be the glass half full and live your best life, then the rest will come, I guess. I don't know. I try and always do something or do something kind for somebody else. And then it just comes, the more you do in the community and the more I give and the more time and help, it just comes tenfold. It just comes back to you. You get helped out when you need it, and you get some just better things happen to you. You're just a better person, I guess. You know what I mean?
It's funny how that works when you do things for the right reason.
Yeah. And it is too. It's so, and when you stop and when you get away from it and you get caught up in the hustle bustle, that's when you're really like, okay, let's get back. This isn't money. Like, it's not the end all be all. Let's get back to the basics and help some people out.
Yep.
Yeah.
So on that same topic, what would be some advice of yours for people out there who might be struggling with that, whatever their own demons might be, or stuck in a rut or a slump?
Don't be afraid to fall on your sword. Like, people that have their pride, I think it's just everybody goes through something. We're all the same. You've gone through stuff that I've gone through, and you might have gone through the same stuff. I don't know.
Right.
I know you've gone through stuff.
Right.
I know he's gone through stuff. I know this gentleman's we've all gone through and it's just trying to understand and how I can and help. You know, we all have our baggage. Everybody does. So it's it's funny. Ryan LaFontaine, okay? The guy, and I talk about him a lot because he's super motivational and inspiring, but he says, he calls you out on that. You know, it's like, hey, let's not do this for the wrong reasons. Let's do this to build a legacy together and give back to this community. And then you're like, oh, okay. Like, and it's just the small things. And it's, I would tell somebody, back to your question, sorry, my ADD kicked in, squirrel. But I would say surround yourself by true friends, okay? And hang out with good company, okay? Stay busy. Go to a meeting if you have to, and don't be afraid to go to a meeting. Don't be afraid to go. So many people are afraid to walk indoors and be labeled as an alcoholic or a drug addict or whatever the case may be. And at the end of the day, it seems like half the population has the same, you know, somebody knows somebody that's dealt with it. And no, I don't judge if you go through that. And I just would want to help somebody, you know? So if there's anybody out there listening and you're going through a hard time, don't be afraid to reach out. It's true. Just try and help again, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah. No, we talk about that, Nick and I, the importance of friends and, you know, being surrounded by positive people. And yeah, I'm a firm believer that, you know, we're all the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Very, very true words. Good advice.
It is true. You know, I find, and not only that, but when you start getting out, when I got out of rehab, I noticed, and I stopped drinking, who my true friends were and who my true friends weren't.
Right. Yeah.
You
I know
know,
a couple guys that say, you know, once they came out of that and got away from it, those people literally disappeared.
Yeah, they did. They do. And the phone stops ringing, which is it was a blessing for me because I was all in anyhow. But it's the friends that remained having us a comfortable enough to relationship to where they can call you out. They can say, hey, everything, you know, you okay? What's going on? Yep. And it's having that respect and not being throwing your hands in the air and getting offended if they call, have you been drinking?
Right.
You know, the first time somebody asked me and I wasn't drinking, if I had been drinking, like they knew. And I'm like, this SOB. And my wife, but my fiance at the time, she made a comment and it stuck with me. She said, yeah, but you can't blame him. And I said, what do you mean? She goes, he's known the Kurt that's been the last 15 years of your life. And all of a sudden you go and get clean, and then he sees you out. Like he's entitled to call you out because every time he's seen you, you've been liquored up. So he doesn't know. You know what I mean? So people are going to call you out, but you can't get offended. You made your bed. Now you got to lay in it. It's a part of it. What are you going to do?
Accountability.
Exactly.
Like you said
and
earlier.
I thought, well, that's kind of good advice. Yeah. You know, I'll keep moving.
Absolutely. No, I think one of the most difficult things, having been through personal challenges, having made mistakes of my own, is not just forgiving other people, but learning how to forgive yourself.
Yeah.
And, you know, when I sit and stay awake at night and can't sleep, and there were definitely points in time where it's like, man, this was in the newspaper, or this was on ABC 12, or, you know, someone's going to Google me and see, you know, the negative thing and not the positive things, or 5 positive things, or whatever. Learning to forgive myself was one of the biggest turning points with that. You know, we're all human, and we all like to try and hold other people to higher standards than we hold ourselves. And I don't know, maybe you've experienced that, or you could expound on, you know, the importance of being able to do that.
It's the type of person I am is a go-getter, hungry, like just on the go, and I'm super hard on myself at times, right? We all are.
Right.
So I'm harder on myself for the most part. So when I did something or do something that I feel like the worst is when my dad would he wouldn't yell at me. he would say, I was disappointed in you. You know, that type of,
Right.
that was when you'd be like, oh, okay, I was really screwed up, you know? And then I wouldn't get that out of my head and I wouldn't forgive myself, like you said, because it just, you're laying in bed and you keep replaying the instance over in your head. I think forgiving yourself is such a huge part of letting go and growing. I think you really can't be the best person you're intended to be if you have a bunch of baggage from your past that you can't let go. One of the biggest things, this is going to be a story real quick. I was in my car accident and my friend was killed and it ate me up. I had survivor's guilt. He was going to be a doctor. I couldn't even spell my middle name. Why did I live and he didn't, right? And that goes through your head and you have survivor. I would eat me up. And I had a therapist at the time and he said, why don't you write, Jeff was my friend's name, why don't you write Jeff a letter and lay it all on the line? So I did. I write this long letter, just everything, just spilled it out, cried my eyes out when I was writing it. And he said, okay, let's get in the car. I said, where are we going? He's like, you know where your friend's buried? I said, yeah, St. John's here in Fenton. Okay, let's go. Therapy session, we went out there. He said, I'll be in the car. You go out there and I want you to read the letter. And I didn't think anything of it at the time. I read that letter and it was like a weight came off my shoulders, like instant. And at that point, after that, I had a different outlook on life. I felt like I was here for a reason and I need to figure that reason out. And I think that was so therapeutic so I did kind of do it. You did jot a little down, but I was told to. But yeah, it was, I think anybody that's going through something and has something like that, put it on paper and let it out. And even if you don't feel comfortable telling, a lot of people don't let anybody in, let you know that I'm hurting. I'm going through a hard time. I can't let Drew know. Gosh, you know, and why? Why not? Because he might say, you know what? It's okay. I'm here. We'll get through it. Like, what do you need?
Right.
You know what I mean? But nobody lays it all on the line. So if you don't feel comfortable, that would be a good out to maybe help somebody. I don't know. Help me.
No, great advice. Write it down. Write it down. Burn it. Write it down. Put it in the shredder. Write it down. Stick it in the safe.
Exactly.
You know, whatever.
I agree.
That's good. All right. Really appreciate you coming on today.
No, thank you. I've had a lot of fun. We didn't even get into the fun stories. Next time.
Right.
You know, I got a lot of them. I like the serious talk. I really appreciate the invite. I think what you guys are doing is remarkable, and I just can't thank you enough. It was a blast. And
No, thank you.
sorry if I didn't bring the energy enough, but next time when we get the fun stories going, that's when everything.
No, it's phenomenal. I think we should definitely do it next time.
Absolutely.
We would love it. And in the show notes, we'll make sure we have the info where people can find you.
Perfect.
Your philanthropic causes, the polar plunge, things like that. So we'll make sure people will be able to reach you, and would definitely love to have you guys back on.
Yeah.
So thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you. It was an
Thank you so
absolute
much.
pleasure. Thank you. Best day ever.
Best
Best
day
day
ever.
go.
Best day.
I genuinely hope anybody out there listening and hear what if you're going through something and you think that it's the end all be all, I promise you it's not. And there's somebody out there that's willing to listen and help. And if you can't find anybody, my name is Kurt Chapelle. I'll be more than happy to have you.
Amen, Kurt.
Thanks.
Thanks for being here, man.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it.
Having us.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alikhan.
Let's go.
Let's go.